Hey everybody, Alan from Dice Wrench. Welcome to another video. An exciting one today, maybe. Certainly for some of you. I hope it will be. I hope it will be useful and informative and improve the performance of your games. I had one of our excellent users on the Discord recently ask, "Hey, why doesn't Deluxe Shader have a Synty style option in its dropdown? We just need to lerp between two textures based on vertex color." It's like, oh yeah, that's a thing. It's not my favorite thing in the whole world, but that's a thing. Okay. So I popped open Tropical Jungle Biome here. Bought this back in 2023. Who knows what I was trying to do that summer, but stashed this away. And I want to preface what I'm about to say with I like the Synty stuff. I think it's great. They make a ton of packs. It's awesome. They've empowered a lot of people to make a lot of games they wouldn't otherwise make. I am a paranoid maniac about performance. Sorry, it's from years in the mobile space and trying to make really good looking things run on really terrible potato phones. So I don't really do things good enough and then we'll fix it later. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in like, we'll fix the performance when it's a problem. Like, no, performance is already a problem. And I like to make things that fit together exactly as needed. This is not that. This is 6 texture samples for this palm tree. Just drug them out, chucked them in here. It's the Synty Studios Vegetation Shader. It's 6 texture samples. Oh man. Okay, and maybe more if you start doing emission. It's rough. It's rough, and there's wind samples. So it's maybe 10 samples, 10 to 12 samples here for this. Okay. So it's time for FRDS to solve this problem for you. So what we're going to do in this video, if you've made it through 3 minutes of rambling, I can tell you care and you deserve this knowledge. What we're going to do in this video is, one, we're going to look at new stuff I'm putting into FRDS to help you with these assets and assets like this. 2, I'm going to walk you through how to use the Material Manager, which is a totally free package with some handy tools in it that you can get off of GitHub right now. Right now. Install it in the Package Manager. And you're good to go. We're going to use that to pack these textures out of the Synty asset into the ultralight format, and we're going to use some of our new options in FRDS to draw this same tree in 2 samples instead of 6 or more. All right, let's get to it. That's enough preamble. Okay, so we've just we're in an empty scene. We've just chucked our tree in here. This is like my little workshop project, just goofing around in here, trying to reproduce all the insane stuff you guys send me. Okay, I've made a little Synty Ultralight folder. Let's do this. First thing we're gonna do, let's dupe our LOD 0. Let's move this over here. So we got our 2 trees to compare. Oh, look, a UI warning. Only your assets have those. No other assets on the planet. Yeah, great. Okay, and we're going to make a material. And we're going to call this Ultralight Palm. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to Foliage Renderer. We're going to choose, I'm going to choose Deluxe Dev because I haven't packed this yet in case there's anything I need to fix real quick. And we're going to assign that to our other palm tree. We haven't assigned any textures, so there's no textures. That makes sense. And just for stability and reasoning, we're just going to turn the wind off. Okay, that slider is weird. All of these, okay. The total wind amount slider doesn't actually do all the wind, does it? That's a little funky. Kind of wish it did. That'd be nice. Okay. So, if we look here under textures and main settings, we've got a new drop down. Well, we've got the same drop down, but we've got some new options. So diffuse double, this is what we're going to try first. Because if you want to do nothing else, this is the fastest path for you. And let's say you're making a mobile game, or these are for LODs that are just really far away, and you don't care. Perfect. Diffuse double. This is going to let you do 2 diffuse textures and then mix them based on your vertex channels. So let's find our palm trees real quick. So they're here in Polygon, blah, 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 blah. Cool, good enough. We don't care exactly where, do we? No, just click the buttons. Yep. Okay, so we're going to assign our palm trees there, and then I think it's this trunk texture. Yeah, but it's tiled more than once because of reasons. Let's just match that up. 5 times. We were almost there, everybody. We were almost there. Is it offset? Yeah, it's, oh, it tiles on the X by 3. Don't ask me why. Just work here. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to say anything. Fine. All right, so there we go. And then we'll go to alpha and we'll set this to cut. Shazam. We did it. We did it. I set this vertex mix up by default to use the blue channel, which is what Synty uses. So if you do double, here you go. Now you'll want to go into your other PBR settings and like, you don't want it to be smoothness one. You want it to be, you know, somewhere in this kind of territory. Now we're starting to get pretty close, right? You can mess with this. I'm not going to mess with this the whole time. All right, we're done. Slap on your FRDS wind controller or whatever in your FR wind controller, and you're good to go. Either one will work. They write on the same properties. So that's option number 1. That's cool. This gives you 2 colors. If all you need is color, you can still do overlays. I've also got a vertex color overlay now available in overlay mask mode. And then yeah. So if you turn this on, then in addition to overlay type, there's a sample you can do here. So you could also blend in your texture here and then use vertex color as the thing to do this mix this way. So you can see here, because we're masked to our vertex color of blue, it's only tinting the red of the leaves, right? So even if you just wanted this to be color, you can just do the leaves. And instead of doing a multiply, let's do an overlay. Let's do a replace. Let's just make the leaves yellow, just to make it obvious. I wouldn't recommend this. Make them orange. Make just the leaves pink. Six samples or more the old way. 2 samples this way. More control. Right? Sweet. All right. Like, do you not see the frames flying back into your game that you can do stuff with? I hope you do. Okay, but let's do more. Why would we just have diffuse? That's boring. Okay, let's make it look awesome. Let's go in here. Let's go to DWD. We're going to do a create. We're going to make a texture pack config. We're going to call this Synty Palm Ultra. We're just going to rearrange these 3 words over and over and over again. All right, there's another video that walks through just this process. So if you're like, wait, this part's confusing, there's a separate playlist all about Material Manager stuff. There's one in here about how to do this, but we're going to do it again because I know you didn't watch the other one. I just know it. Okay, so we're going to assign all 3 textures for the leaves. Okay, so they have a leaf palm normal and they have a leaf palm occlusion. Cool. Right? Because we're not satisfied with diffuse double. That's 2 texture samples. It gets us just albedo output and then like some hand-wavy goofy stuff to get us sort of some PVR setting. But we want to use ultralight double. I'm not going to click this button until we actually have textures ready because it's just going to get weird. Now, if you don't remember from some of the other videos, ultralight packs a whole bunch of data into just 4 channels. And if you remember, or you're new and you're learning about this, a texture is 3 or 4 channels, RGB and then optionally an A, depending on your compression format. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't panic. These are just words. I'm just using all the words so that you hear them and you'll get used to them, and then eventually you'll connect all the dots and it will all make sense. Don't worry about compression format. We're not freaked out about that. It's just there's 3 or 4 channels. If texture sampling is expensive in a shader, which it is beneficial in many cases to put as much data into one texture as humanly possible. So if we look at our texture here, what is going on? Nothing, right? This is various shades of tan in lines. We could probably lerp between this dark brown color and this light peach color and get all of these values, or something so close that it will not bother our player. Remember, try not to get tunnel vision about the asset itself. The asset is not the video game. Okay, don't get distracted. This is a big problem for new artists in the industry. Focus. We're trying to make a good palm tree, which is part of the background, which tells the story, creates the mental model which the player plays with. Okay, we're not trying to make the perfect bark texture. That's a thing you can do. That's not a video game. Okay. All right. So if we had one channel of information, just a grayscale, that would let us lerp, right? Linear interpolate, blend between 2 colors and get something very close to this. Let's look at our leaves. This is like kind of a goldy color and kind of some greeny colors. And in between kind of some goldy greeny colors. How much does this little bit of slightly tanner than goldy matter to you? Doesn't matter much to me, but I'm not always picky about these things, which freaks people out. So we have to make some choices about the fidelity of our artwork. Do we want speed or do we want fidelity? I like speed, especially for background stuff. I like fidelity on hero assets that are up close and right in front of the camera and so on and so on. So if this is a background palm tree, we're going to err on the side of fidelity. Or not on fidelity. I got distracted because I looked at a Discord message. We're going to err on the side of efficiency. We want speed. We want speed. Normals. I'm not going to explain normal maps right now. It's not complicated, but there's basically 3 directions of information packed into a normal map. Bend along the X direction, bend along the Y direction, and then Z, like flip space. And that basically lets you bend the light in tangent space along your mesh. Okay. And then finally we have occlusion, which is just a grayscale map. That makes sense. For normal maps, you really only need X and Y bend. You don't really need that 3rd channel. So if we don't really need that 3rd channel, that means we need 2 channels for a normal map, 1 channel for our blend between our colors, and then 1 channel for our occlusion, right? Hey, look, that's 4. That fits inside of 1 texture sample, so that's what we're going to do. So we've assigned our things in here, and now we're going to build an output texture. And to do this, we're going to need to assign some things. All right, So we create an output texture. We're going to add a suffix here. We're just going to say ultra. We're going to enable all of these because we do want to output all these channels. Now we need to set the index of the texture source. And I have meant to make this display more user-friendly, but I have not gotten around to it, so you're going to have to suffer with me. So here we have to make a choice for leaf palm about which of these channels gives us the best gradient. And I like red. So we are going to use the red channel in this case. I'm not going to get into why, just trust me. So we're using texture source of 0, and we're going to use the red channel. Next, now we have to know the format of the ultralight textures, okay? But I happen to know the format. We're going to take the red channel of texture 1, which is our normal. That's going to go into our green output. We're just going to collapse these as we get them done. Blue channel. This is our occlusion. So we're going to take index 2, right? We put 1 in there, good. And we're just going to take the R. That's fine because they're grayscale. They're all the same. We'll use G because G sometimes has better fidelity. And then finally, we'll use 1 and we'll use green as our alpha output. And we'll save project. Now we have this asset ready to go for all time. And we can sit here and like, let's say there's a Synty update. All these GUIDs will be preserved in this thing. We just come in here and hit pack and it'll spit us out a new texture. Cool. So we'll hit pack. Oh, I just dumped it into assets instead of putting it in this folder. Now, sometimes this takes a minute because it has to go fetch all the things and then read them and spit them out. So we'll resume after this is done. Of course, moments after I clicked pause, it finished. So let's move this back up here. Cool. So now we've got R, G, B, A. So that one read, oh, but it didn't like this. Oh, it didn't like this. There's a trick to this. Let's see if we remember. I know I solved this in the other video, but it's been 84 years, as they say. So let's look. Let's look at what it gave us for G. So this is up, down. So I bet it put the other one in A because it's trying to be cute, and Unity's like that sometimes. Let's pack again. All right, here we go. I'm going to delete this old one. Boop. Here's our new one. Okay, so what happened there, you're wondering to yourself. Because this is marked as a normal map, Unity swizzles some stuff around for its compression format. So now if we look here, green is the X normal like we expect, blue is our occlusion like we expect, and then A is our Y normal like we expect. So green and alpha channels in many platforms preserve slightly more bit data than red and blue channels because your eye is more perceptive of green, and then alpha is usually nicer to have smoother blending. So Unity does some stuff to be like, oh, hey, I'm a normal map. I'm going to go ahead and move these things around. So if your texture is already in here and it's already marked as a normal map, if this was marked default, we would have been fine because that's how it looks in Photoshop if we were like looking at the channels. But because this is imported as a normal map, Unity has already sort of swizzled some stuff around. Okay, so cool. Now we are packed the way we expect, but we got to do the same thing for our bark. And you're like, I don't want to do that again. Okay, well, so we're just going to hit Control D to dupe this. Bark Ultra, look, our output is preserved. Now we're just going to assign our other things in the same spots. So let's find our bark normals. And then let's find our bark occlusion. And then let's actually pack this into the spot we want it to go. And we'll pack. And we're done. right, so here we go. Now we have a ramp, we have a normal, we have an occlusion, we have another normal. Very cool. So now let's go over here. Let's set this to ultralight double. I didn't test all this. Boy, I hope I don't regret it. Okay. We'll assign our ultralight here, and we'll assign our palm tree there. Nice. We may have to play with this cutout value. That gets that there. Now you can already see, like, see how there's normals on these, and like the edges have that little lip that these have? Very cool. Okay. We're gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna set that to off. Now, this is giving us a ramp between two colors, white and tan. I don't know why that's the default, but that's, I did that at some point. So if it was me, I would just kind of get in here and you know what? Let's do this. Let's click on this guy. Let's lock that. Let's go back here. Look how smart we are, thinking with portals and stuff. Okay, we're gonna select that, and then we'll select that. And then we can play with this power and this boost of this ramp to get the requisite amount of contrast between the grays. That is very close. First try. All right, cool. We'll unlock this one. Let's grab our palm tree. Let's lock it in. Let's go back. All right, now remember, we use the red channel. So what we want to do is we want to pick this yellow or something similar. And then over here, we want to pick this green. Oh, no, it wants to be backwards for some reason. We want to pick this. Come on, eyedropper, do the thing. We're recording this. You're embarrassing me. All right. And now we're going to power, we're going to boost. We're going to say, hey, this is a little too saturated. It looks a little wonky. We just want to kind of match this case here. So it's all right. It's pretty close. We can crank up the normal strength. That's kind of fun. Those really chiselly leaves. Kind of like that. And there we go. So now we've got our normal map. We've got our occlusion. And we've got color data. Still in just 2 samples. Right? And you're like, this ultra thing is, this is hard to set up. You only have to set it up once, and then you just duplicate it and give it new inputs. Right? And the reason I stick with this format, where you make a scriptable object for each one, is just so you have this maximum repeatability by being able to sit here and repack this if there's ever an update to your source asset, right? And this is useful even if you're not dealing with source assets that are in a package. You may have like your artists just want to work in Substance and output things the normal way they're used to. And you, as the tech artist saving the company over and over again, need to optimize everything. This is here for you. So artists can do the thing they need to do. You can then optimize on the back end and off you go. Now, you might be saying to yourself like, hey, I don't like that this looks all shady and dark in the middle. Like, okay. That's what your color overlay modes are for. You can come in here, you could do pivot, you can do radial, right? And you can move this pivot around. And then you could invert it. Does that work? No, it doesn't work. But maybe invert radial is a thing. Does -2 work? I can't remember. But you have height, you have invert height, you have a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe we need invert radial too. Pivot will sort of use the world position as a pivot value. But you have all your other options. You can just tint these based on the other stuff and you're all set, right? Very close. If I wasn't talking and explaining this to you, I'd have this done in like 2 minutes. And then I'd be doing it for every every single thing in the project. Right. Plus, you've got all the other features of FRDS here available to you now, and all the coolness of being FR compatible. So I think this will get you guys where you want to go. You've got now two ways to operate, two new ways: diffuse double and ultralight double. Very cool. And under overlay mask, you've also got vertex color. So you can sort of tint just one part or the other, and you'll be in business. So any questions or thoughts or concerns, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the Discord. If you want to see new features, Discord is the best place for those. Join the Dice Wrench Designs Discord. And I hope this helps you all out. Uses the assets you've got, but helps you get them into not only FR compatible format, but also just a way more efficient format. Right? Sampling a texture, this whole thing has got to get built into your project, so it's on disk size. It's got to get shipped to the GPU and back when you're rendering, so it's performance in your frame time, right? This is how we've seen people like get double-digit frames back, switching to FR and FRDS. Just tremendous performance boost. You've got to be a little bit committed to the bit if you want all the maximum benefit, but we'll keep giving you tools to get you there. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy.